Manchester United's tactics have not worked so far this season. Not exactly a controversial opinion, we've all seen it, we've been terrible all season long. So Mr. Erik ten Hag, mate, why not change it? Why not change the tactics? Why not change approach? And I'm actually going to suggest a 4-4-2 diamond shape. Now, why the 4-4-2 diamond? Well, one of the reasons is because I think it allows United to implement a key principle of Erik ten Hag's. That is the usage of minimum width. But also because I think this shape addresses some of our key weaknesses. A lack of compactness in the middle of the pitch, but also a lack of ball retention in possession. In my opinion, a 4-4-2 diamond could go a long way to addressing some of those problems. So we'll start off with the minimum width situation. Why does the 4-4-2 diamond allow you to implement minimum width? Well, it's pretty obvious, because the formation has very little width to it. What is actually the benefit of minimum width? Basically, you get a lot of players close to each other, and that's a bonus in possession and also out of possession. Particularly the transition between the two as well. So let's say you are applying a minimum width. It means your players are nice and close to each other, nice and compact. When you lose possession, whether that be deep in your own third or perhaps high in your opposition's final third, when you lose the ball, your players are nice and close to each other. So rather than suddenly having to cover 30 yards to try and win the ball back, you're all within 8 to 10 yards of each other. You can quickly make a short burst to try and win the ball back for your side. There's also massive bonuses in possession as well. There are lots of options on the ball. If you are, for example, Sofian Amrabat in the midfield, you've got Kobbie Mainoo you can pass to, Bruno Fernandes, Mason Mount, perhaps Garnacho, Højlund, you've got the fullbacks as well. There's lots of passing options available, again, because of minimum width. And also there is the ability for individual brilliance to come into play, something which United have benefited from this season. But you get that natural chemistry of good players playing near other good players. We've all seen it before. Think Real Madrid, for example, they get their best players near each other and it just comes to life. United could try and use something similar with minimum width. Mount, Bruno Fernandes, Højlund, Garnacho, perhaps Rashford into the starting 11. Use that ability to quickly combine. It could even give someone like Anthony Martial a role to play in the FA Cup final. Who knows? But using this 4-4-2 diamond would allow Ten Hag to apply the principle of minimum width. As I said earlier though, it also allows us to improve our ball retention. Now, ball retention is all about retaining the ball, keeping the ball. Obviously not something United have done particularly well this season. Often we lose the ball in silly situations. The 4-4-2 diamond goes a long way to addressing that. Why? Because you get 4 central midfielders on the pitch. But not just 4 central midfielders, 3 of them are good retention players. It allows us to get our best retention midfielders on the pitch at the same time without playing them out of position. I am of course talking about Sofian Amrabat, Kobbie Mainoo and Mason Mount, who is now back from injury. Those 3 at the base of midfield represent players who do want to try and keep the ball for their side. They're not going to force it forward for the sake of it. They know how to retain possession, play safe, sideways, compact football. Again, the minimum width helps with this because the players are close to each other so they can quickly pass to each other. But ball retention is key. Sofian Amrabat at the heart of the midfield as opposed to Scott McTominay at times this season or Casemiro at times this season. Amrabat is someone who wants to keep the ball. Essentially kind of screening in front of that defence but keeping the ball for his side. Being a true pivot. From this position he could of course drop deeper into the back 3. It really opens up the potential for United to actually control and dominate the ball through the centre of the pitch. Of course, you also have the fact that you have 4 central midfielders. Most teams only defend with 3 or maybe even 2. So having 4 outnumbers this, it creates good angles. And again, it allows you to retain the ball. And then the final benefit, compactness out of possession. This season it has been far too easy to play through Manchester United. Draw us over to one side from a defensive point of view. Draw us over like this, go back into the middle and then penetrate through the centre of the pitch. United have struggled with this all season long. The 4-4-2 diamond doesn't really allow that, simply because of the pure numbers. Not only the fact that you have a diamond in midfield, but the fact that it can change to more of a flat 4-4-2. For example, Mason Mount could move to the left-hand side, Amrabat in here next to Kobbie Mainoo, and Bruno Fernandes to the right-hand side. Similar to how Real Madrid used their 4-4-2 diamond shape. You then ask your front 2 to be nice and compact. You don't go for an overly aggressive high press, you use more of a mid-block, trap the midfielders, and it allows you to really condense and compact the pitch, once again making it more difficult to play through the heart of Manchester United. That has to be a bonus. It stops Garnacho having to cover so much ground, and it would even suit Marcus Rashford as well with his defensive weaknesses. We know that Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes are hard workers, energetic players with a lot of stamina who will cover the ground in these areas. It actually makes a lot of sense.
So before we continue into the video, a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, JerseyFIFA.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that be the new latest releases or the old classic ones like this, Jersey FIFA has something for everyone, and now you can check it out yourself using the link in the description down below. And also make sure to use code JerseyFIFA for 10% off when you order.
So we've seen how the 4-4-2 diamond would allow United to implement some key principles of Erik ten Hag, but also address some key weaknesses in the squad. The question is, how do you actually approach the game from a tactical point of view? You know, yes, on paper you might be in a diamond, but what does that actually look like on the football pitch? Well, we'll start off with playing out from the back. It gives you lots of options in the first phase. Your two centre-backs can split either side of your goalkeeper, like so. Your full-backs are going to push a little bit wider, and then you have these three central midfielders ready to drop in and receive the ball. This is way better than what United have had all season. There are more players, more options. That literally increases your chances of playing out from the back, particularly when you still push these players up nice and high up the pitch, because it means you are stretching and pinning the opposition back. The other benefit of the diamond, though, is that you can play, at times, long ball football, something which Ten Hag isn't adverse to and certainly hasn't been over the course of the season, using Onana to play the ball long. Why does the 4-4-2 diamond allow this? That's the question. Well, because, again, you have central compactness. You have four players there ready for the second ball. So you've got the front two competing for the first ball. Again, if you bring Rashford in, extra height, that could be handy. But you've got those two players competing for that first ball, and then four central midfielders ready on the second ball. So it would improve United's ability to sometimes play out from the back through the press, but also the ability to go over the press and win the second ball. It would help United in that way. I also think it would improve United in sustained possession as well. The dynamic perhaps is not natural with a 4-4-2 diamond, but it's an interesting approach which United could use. Let's say we move the ball further up the pitch, like so. I would then expect rotations simply because of who United currently have available. So I would shift to a back three in possession, like so. Just like this. I would then ask Dalot to push further up the pitch down the right hand side, Kobbie Mainoo to play in a double pivot alongside Sofian Amrabat, and give Mason Mount this sort of Metzala role, where he's sometimes in midfield, sometimes drifting wide. He's moving really in between the lines. And then also, whoever is left striker, whether it be Rashford or Garnacho, they could move to this left-hand side position as well and create key overloads in this area of the pitch. This would eventually give United a sort of 3-4-3 diamond shape, like this, or perhaps just a flat 3-box-3 shape in the midfield. Again, giving United a lot of options and potential to move the ball forward. Again, the key thing we've got here is retention. We've got Amrabat and Kobbie Mainoo as the base of our midfield. Two players who want to keep the ball. Keep the ball with passing football, at times ball-carrying football, but retaining possession is the key. We've then got Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes in the side, two creative players. We've got the 1-versus-1 threat of Marcus Rashford. We've got his ball striking coming inside. It all actually really adds up quite nicely. The weakness would probably be Dalot on the right-hand side in the final third. I don't think he's great in that area, but this formation is all about rotations. Ten Hag loves those rotations, right? This formation is all about that. So at times he could move inside. Bruno Fernandes could drift a little bit wider. Perhaps Mason Mount at times could drift wider down the right-hand side. Or Kobbie Mainoo could go forward. There's a lot of different options. In terms of defensively, the weakness is obviously going to be at the back, but we don't really have too many other options. You know, Evans, Casemiro, it's not ideal, I understand that, but we don't really have any other options unless there is an academy player you would like to see in the side. If there is, let me know in the comments down below and I might just do a video on them if I like the suggestion. But overall, I do feel as though this 4-4-2 diamond shape allows United to address and mask a lot of the key problems, and that would be my aim till the end of the season. Of course, we have seen the approach this year potentially tactically exposing the squad a little bit, removing tactical security, with the aim of improving the side for next season. What I would do from now, though, till the end of the season, against the likes of Arsenal, Newcastle, Brighton, but also City in the Cup final, is focus a bit more on the short term, probably for the first time this year. Try and secure some key results. I feel like the diamond could be a good way to do that. We kind of lack wingers at the moment, with Rashford still out injured. Garnacho's the only one who's playing particularly well. Anthony struggled the other day. Ahmad hasn't really taken his chances and seems out of favour with Ten Hag. Why not remove the wingers and swap to this diamond shape? I think it could be a really good option. It allows us once again to pack the midfield. Even Eriksen could probably do a job to an extent in this midfield, although it's still not ideal because he can't exactly move very well. But I think this idea of the 4-4-2 diamond, which sometimes rotates to more of a 4-2-2 and asks the fullbacks to get forward, all of the rotations it would provide might actually suit Ten Hag while still keeping some key defensive compactness, which I think we've lacked this season. So that is why I would like to see a shift towards a 4-4-2 formation. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Is there any substance to this? You know, could we see something happening here? Could you see Ten Hag making this change? He did do it against Brighton earlier in the season. By the way, don't compare the games because the personnel that day were horrendous. It was the wrong players with better players. It could work. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Would you like to see this? Are you a fan of the formation? We've of course seen Real Madrid using it to great effect in the Champions League. Would you like to see United trying something similar? Who knows? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. But apart from that, we are finished for today. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.